Yeah, hello everyone. Very good afternoon. First of all, we'd like to thank the organizers of STC 2022 for giving us an opportunity to present detailed insight of our idea with a developed solution. I'm Imansree. In my team, I'm having three of my teammates, Mainul, Asiful, and Kamakshi. Mainul is the co-author here. Uh, Now, NLP-based intelligent database testing solution is our entry for the year's STC 2022, which fits under the theme Emerging Areas and Automation. Now, let us deep dive into the problem statement and realize the impact of it. Okay. Firstly, due to the lack of database professional within the team, it is a very challenging task for the testing team to construct database queries from the test text-based test scenarios. Second, there is a huge dependency on the for the QA team with the developer or the DBA because uh, every time we have to rely on the developer or DBA to get the database queries and run test cases. This actually adds significant delay to overall testing cycle. Third, third and fourth is the for techno-functional test cases, database queries are required to be injected in the test automation suite. So let me just tell you what are the techno-functional test cases. There are test cases where the steps, some steps involved DB operations, some steps does not involve DB operation. Suppose I'm just logging to a particular web applications, then I'm navigating to a bar. These doesn't require any DB operations. But when I'm doing some operations in the background that I'll be changing some values of a particular table, and then I'll see that modification will reflect in the GUI in a particular icon color. So you're seeing that there is a mix with the DB operations and non-DB operations. For the non-DB operations, we are doing the testing, we are doing the automations. But for the DB operations, every time we need to rely on the DBA or the database professionals. So this is the main problem area for the tester because it is doing nothing. It is just adding delays in our entire testing life cycle. Now see, in order to solve this kind of problem, we developed an ML-based NLP model that could interpret human written test cases and generate SQL queries based on projects, existing data dictionary, and test cases what we are getting from the projects.
Okay, thanks Imansree for
Yeah.
putting the context. I want to share now that
What
what
is
is
the
the
solution
solution
architecture
architecture.
while building this kind of ML model? Now, in any ML model, if we can see, there are three steps basically. One is the data ingestion phase, where we need the sources from where we can go and develop certain solution. So in this case, it is a test case and the data dictionary from the project. Second important area is that certain algorithm steps where we can pre-process the data, where we can go ahead and check that how it can correlate with the real problem statement and get an outcome. So for this, we have certain steps are involved in it, like cleaning and tokenization, where actually the natural language based test cases which are written in plain English text, for example, there can be changes from person to person, the way that it will set the context. Now the context wise it can have different meaning. So in that regard, in a DB test related cases, we need to identify a particular step inside the entire test case step which is related to the DB operation. Suppose for example, if we have to change certain value of a particular node or parameter, that need not to be mentioned even at the very first step. It can exist in the third step or fifth step, but it can consist of multiple other steps like login to the system, navigating to the particular tab and the web page, and then only we can do certain operations where we have to manipulate the data inside the database, and then that will reflect in the GUI to continue with the testing. Now, with that, there is a problem now with your existing test automation or going with a manual testing, that how we can proceed with such kind of scenarios. because there is a lack of DB testing cases. Generally, in a testing team, people need certain help from the DBA or the developer so that they can construct the query. It can be a join query, it can be sub query, it can be PLSQL based queries so that it can be utilized further in the test automation. So to overcome this, we have tried to get that summarized view of the test case steps where it consists DB, non-DB, both kind of steps involved. And from there to identify which particular step involves a real DB operation that need to be identified. So in that regard, the second step which we talk about as a POS tagging and lemmatization. That means we have to find out a root word which actually correlate with the DB operation. For example, we have increase or we have a modify is one of the word which is mentioned in one of the steps. Now, this particular root word is actually giving a hint that it can correlate with a DB operation. In this case, this is update. As we know the DML operation, we have update, select, delete. So those kind of operations are always there in your DB, kind of a DML operations. Now, when to understand a person who is writing the test cases in a plain English text, they can write modify some value, add some value, increase some value. All this relates to this DB operation called update. So for that, what we have done, we have prepared a particular corpus with lot of DML operations and their synonymous words in the English dictionary. We use the Spacey library. We used a certain model defined by the Spacey library, encode modulation, and that has been used to identify the relationship between the word which is written by the user in the text cases and how much it is close in terms of the context similarity. When we get those words, then we have to use it. Now you may understand one thing, that the word which will used by the tester in a test case cannot be the exact word. Kind of increase, this particular word may not be written, it can be increased or it can be increasing. So there may be several ways that it can be written in terms of English language using different POS, parts of speech. And that is why POS tagging is very important along with the lemmatization to find the lemma, nothing but the root word in NLP technique. So we got this word like increase as associated with the particular DB operation called update. So this part is over. We know the DB operation is update. Now there might be another confusion comes. Okay, in your test cases, this particular root word has been used 2 3 times. It may happen, right? Some GUI operations are there where you can do a something called increase or update. That can also happen. And also at the same time, our main intention is to manipulate the DB value, and that particular step is also already available. So how to identify the other step and this step from where I can correlate that this is a DB operation, this is the time I have to go to the database and change that particular value for my further, automation to run or test execution to continue. So this is the next challenge. So to overcome this next challenge, we survey most of the DB test cases scenarios, and what we have identified, whenever this root word which is similar to the DB operations are there, it is not associated in single. It associated where this particular value to be affected. As for example, I'm saying I'm going to increase a value of a particular parameter, say kind of a temperature, say kind of memory usage parameter that I want to change to do some health check kind of operations. That can be any scenario. You can correlate with your no own scenarios that which can map to engage to change the value. So add some value, increase some value to with respect to certain parameters, certain phrases, and that should be part of that same steps where this particular statement is written. Modify this value, more add this value for what? For certain phrase of words. Now this phrase of words must be correlate with a particular DB column name. For example, if I want to change certain value in the temperature to check like how this temperature range values can be changed and we can test something else, then there should be a mapping name with respect to this particular statement written in test case step and inside the DB table. The DB table is known, DB operation is known, is called update. Now the next thing is in that DB table, there are several columns available. In that particular column, which particular column talks about that where the change is affected. For example, increased memory usage. Now here in the DB table, as we have mentioned in the left side, you can see the data dictionary is there. Data dictionary talks about a complete map or complete synopsis of your entire databases, which are the tables involved, which are the columns involved. And we already know from the test cases which are the table. Now, inside those tables, if we see the column names or the header names, it will be similar with this phrase of words. Now, there is again another confusion will arise. How? That DB table name having some column name called meme usage. For example, I'm giving an example, meme usage. Now, meme usage is nothing but people who have written the test cases inside the test steps can be memory usage, right? It is not meme usage, it is then a memory usage or memory underscore usage, something like that. So that means we need to find out the another similarity score. That is how we can ensure that meme usage in two words or with an underscore certain phrase we used in a test case step is almost similar with the meme usage column inside the table. From there only we have to apply this DB operation. So then three cases are solved. First, from the test case, we know the table name. Second, with the NLP technique, we understand with the principal verb and a similar DB operation. So DB operation is known, so table name known, DB operation known. And third, where this particular things is going to affect, which particular column we need to target here. And then finally, what else we need? We need a DB query formation. And even if you see whatever the known database systems we have available, whether it is MySQL or even Oracle SQL or any other, there probably is available lot of template. Like how to write an update query is merely you can find in internet. So that template we can use, only then we need to replace with those kind of value which we obtained in the previous step. That we have to go for an update operation. This is my table name, this is my column name, set the value, changes this value, and then we can construct the query. And that we can do with a blend of earlier cases is a pure AI with an NLP technique. Second one is an automation way to get the DB query. Now, if we go further, like what is available here, like how we are going to use it, the model has been developed, model has identified what are the DB operations in place, what are the outcome is nothing but DB query. So it is very simple. Next time we only have to give test case because data dictionary changes in the project is very less. Or if there is any changes later, we can update or retrain the model. In this case, the data ingestion, we apply the test cases. We go into the model will digest it, construct the query, and then this query can be placed anywhere within your particular tool. Whether you are passing a parameter to a SOAP UI related test cases written there, whether you are using any Python script, there also you can use. Even if you are going towards a REST API kind of scenarios, there also you can use the same. Or even the very popular tool we are listening since morning, there are several tool solutions in and around with this robot framework Selenium. Even if you are mentoring through continuous integration tool through Jenkins, all these can be possible. It can be stitched in, it can be plugged in. But the problem what was earlier, the challenge was there any DB related test cases, if we know the query that's a different case, but there is any DB testing scenarios in the project where DB testing is the main ask, there lot of DB queries dependency was still there in project to project, and that actually overcome through this solution. Now coming to the novelty, what is the novelty in this solution? Definitely faster time to market, like we can do this test planning, test case preparation, test script preparation very early. Important part is here, even in the current scenario, the project teams have so many new members joining in the project. They might have very good domain knowledge in and around. It takes time, right? Its experience counts. And that is why no domain knowledge needed, and we can use such kind of solution. Definitely, it is targeting towards two important metrics, and which is very important in now in testing. One is the test design efficiency, and another is the schedule slippage. Real-time DB query we are getting, which is already sees the solution, and it is a reusable solution. We have not to consider that earlier project I worked with database like Oracle. Now I have changed my scenarios with a MySQL or Postgre kind of things. So that is really possible to do. And it is a license-free tool. Purely we use Python, and those libraries are not at all costly ones. And this is simply open source, completely open source we are using. So license-free tool are there. And definitely, last and not the least, it will increase the efficiency of predictive maintenance. If you want to change the structure a bit, it do not have to do anything inside the code. As for example, if you inject your data dictionary, if you inject your test cases format, how to do those can be part of the data pre-processing and others. We no need to go inside the logic of the code time to time until and unless there is a huge change demanded by the client. So that's it from our solution perspective. Uh, any queries you people have? I think Imansree have certain problem in showing her screen related to I think the code, right? You can share your screen. Imansree, you can try once.
Yes. Let me just try once.
Hello, am I audible? Okay, there are certain questions I
Okay,
can
there are
see.
certain questions I can see.
First one is with the
First one is
statement,
with the statement,
passing time
the passing
metrics
time.
we do not mean by number of times or times test run. This number of times then mere passing where and point of value should be. No, this is a fakiness kind of questions, right? Any questions so far? I'm not sure. Hello. Here we can do reverse as well. Like rather than converting modify to update, we can tell functional tester to use keywords specific to NLP research. This is a very good question, and that is what we are saying. Like today, if we go with a little bit rule based, then the problem will appear. No, we have several. Ways that tester actually writing the scenarios, and that's why we told the novelty is we have created our own corpus. And this corpus means, right, as you know, in ML, like people always try to go for a corpus. It's a natural language. The way I say modify, we don't know even like what else people are going to use. So modify can be there, any other way they can try to add it. So this way it can continue. Yeah, we as mentioned, we have not any questions. Okay, I think you still the problem with the demo to showcase, right? Okay, then
Sure.
thanks to the team. We can conclude with this that matter. If any question you have, otherwise we can conclude.